From the 25th century, Eobard Thawne was an only child when his parents were killed in an accident. In his loneliness, he became obsessed with the Flash, Barry Allen, a heroic speedster from the 21st century. Eobard would dedicate his life to studying the Flash and researching his power source, the Speed Force. During his adulthood, Thawne miraculously received a time capsule containing the Flash's costume, from which he harnessed residual traces of the Speed Force to give himself access to its powers. Dissatisfied, Thawne sought to also become a hero like the Flash. However, due to the lack of opportunities for heroics in the future, Thawne instead created his own by endangering and then saving people to make himself look a hero. Thawne was awestruck when Barry arrived in his time and taught him new ways to use his powers, with the two also bonding over their shared belief that every second is a gift. Unfortunately for Eobard, Barry became aware of the truth behind his heroics, and would turn him into the authorities after defeating the rogue speedster. Desperate to prove himself to his hero, Thawne vowed to better himself. In prison, he underwent electroshock therapy and shared his knowledge with other inmates. He convinced the authorities that society would be better if he was educating others as a professor instead of being behind bars, and worked hard from being a tour guide at the Flash Museum to becoming its curator, too, considering the museum his own. Wanting to show Barry his rehabilitation and to be accepted again by his best friend, Thawne traveled back in time to the 21st century. Deeming it arrogant to think he was ready to become the Flash, he changed his costume to yellow, because it was the color that all the heroes' partners wore. However, after witnessing Barry give Wally West a watch with the same advice he gave Eobard years ago inscribed, an enraged Thawne realized that he wasn't as special to Barry as he thought. Running back to the 25th century, to the Flash Museum, it was there that Thawne realized his destiny, including his multiple future deaths. Creating his own negative speed force and switching his emblem, Thawne became the Reverse Flash. Believing that tormenting Barry is the only time that Barry will spend with him, Thawne made it his life's mission to ensure that the Flash lived in pain like he did, until his idol learned to treat him specially and see him as his real friend. Nevertheless, Thawne was unable to let go of his vendetta, and sought to destroy Barry's life by changing the past and the future. Sometime after defeating Paradox, Thawne went back in time and murdered Barry's mother Nora. Barry's father Henry was falsely accused and sentenced for the crime, leaving the future Flash without his parents. To create more speedster foes for the Flash family, Thawne gave the clown the gun with which he killed Hunter Zolomon's father-in-law, leading to Zolomon eventually becoming Zoom. Thawne then killed Jorge Hart, the brother of Barry's future friend August Hart, who would as a result go on to become Godspeed. Thawne also saved Barry and Iris West's children, the Tornado twins Don Allen and Dawn Allen, from the Dominators and then used the negative speed force to turn them against their father. He trained the pair and later had them fight their father and lay waste to Central City. After Flash went back in time and saved his mother, he created an alternate timeline called the Flashpoint, in which the world was at war and on the brink of destruction. 2. Before Flash reset the timeline, Thawne was killed by that timeline's Batman, Thomas Wayne. After the Flashpoint timeline was restored, Thawne was resurrected and called out Thomas at the scene of Harvey Dent's death. 24. He later briefly appeared at Wayne Manor and rambled to Oswald Cobblepot about how he needs Thomas, someone is coming for him, again, and mentioned Hypertime, before disappearing. Thawne is later found dead at Iris West's home, killed by the Clockwork Killer. Thawne created his own negative version of the Flash's speed force, with its own unique energy signature. He can tap into the energy as normal speedsters do with the positive speed force, which he is also able to connect with. The negative speed force grants Thawne the power to move at incredible speeds, among many other abilities. Thawne possesses reflexes far greater than a normal human being. This allows him to easily react to danger and events, and perceive the world in slow motion. Thawne's body can handle the stress of moving at superhuman speeds for long periods of time without getting tired or weak. Thawne is capable of moving at vast superhuman speeds, fast enough to match Barry Allen. After having been beaten by the Flash in his early years, a more experienced Thawne, who had regained his lost memories, is shown to be faster than a younger version of Barry, who admitted as such. A younger Thawne is also shown to be able to subdue a more experienced Barry after catching him off guard. However, due to his obsessive desperation to be like Barry, Thawne can never let himself be faster than the person he wants to be. When fighting the Flash, Thawne raced around the Earth dozens of times and across space and time at incalculable speeds. His immense speed allows him to generate superhuman force, allowing him to deal devastating blows to opponents. Thawne can use his speed to travel in and out of the time stream, allowing him to travel to other planes of reality and traverse dimensions at will. 1. He is also able to instantly travel in and out of the negative speed force, 16, and can also enter the positive speed force. Thawne is able to generate and manipulate the electrical energy that he draws from the negative speed force. This lightning emanates off of him as red electrical arcs from all around his body, and from his eyes as streaks, especially when he moves at super speed. Thawne's electrokinetic abilities allow him to disrupt and control the electromagnetic spectrum to some extent. He mainly uses this power to control his suit's armor. When he releases his suit from his ring, the pieces of it are conducted by his lightning to form the suit around him. Thawne can vibrate his own molecular structure at varying degrees for a number of purposes, by adjusting to different frequencies. Through contact, he can even use his vibrations to send someone back to their home dimension. Thawne can speak at a hypnotic frequency that can push and pull others to do things they would never do, by subconsciously creating doubt in their minds. He has used this ability to manipulate the Flashes on multiple instances. Thawne can do this at a vibrational frequency that makes him imperceptible to other speedsters, leaving no trace that he was ever there. By vibrating his molecules on an atomic level, and by doing so at just the right frequency, Thawne can allow himself to become intangible, allowing people or objects to pass right through him. Thawne's ability to travel through time, when combined with his knowledge of all versions of his personal history, allows him to change his fate. This is shown by how a version of Thawne who was removed from the timeline by the Flash was able to avoid the events that led to the deaths of a future version of himself, through his awareness of those events.